Hey guys, hope all is well. Today I'm actually going to play a match against someone from against two people actually from the Charlotte Chess Center. If you haven't been there, definitely check it out. And the match is going to be against two guys, Dominique Myers, he's playing right now, and Peter Giannatos, newly minted FM Peter Giannatos, so I definitely want to give him a congratulations. So essentially this match, I'm just going to play these two guys and just give commentary, so enjoy. And all right, we have a Dutch on our hands. I have no respect for this opening, so hopefully we'll sort of bear that out in our play. I really don't think. I think this opening is just disgusting. Look at all the weaknesses you create on these by playing the Dutch. Just automatically you just weaken all these squares and you commit to structure. It's not the stuff that I like to do. But you guys know that because if you've seen any of the videos, you know I'm not a fan of stuff like that. So anyways, I'm going to just develop patiently, slowly, methodically, and yeah, I like my knight going to f4 here. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but I just think it just looks sort of sensible. And I think bishop d6 is actually a move in some of these positions, but no, that wasn't played. So I'm going to go knight f4, and I expect bishop f7, and then I'm going to go bishop b5, and I think this pin is a little bit annoying. I mean, typically bishop for knight is not such a big deal. But in this structure, if white sort of manages to stifle black's pawn breaks, I think I should be in pretty decent shape. So I know there's this other plan that white does sometimes of playing h3 and g4 here to undermine the light squares. Because if you look on the king side, black has played already f6, so the whole e8 h5 diagonal is a little bit, well, it's laughably weak actually. Yeah, so the question actually here is, should I go for this this knight right away? I don't think I need to, so I'm going to play bishop a4. I'm sort of happy with him pushing his pawns and maybe creating some weaknesses. Okay, maybe I could have taken on c6 and played that position too, but I don't know. My intuition is telling me that it's not bishop a4, just keeping the pressure is not such a bad thing. Okay, bishop b4. Okay, interesting. Doesn't really scare me that much. I'm just going to castle. I don't think these double pawns are such a big deal here. Okay, b5, bishop b3. Okay, now taking is a real option, actually. Taking on c3 might actually happen here because there is, well, some pressure, we can say, on c3. All right, so knight e7. Okay, a sensible move. I'm going to go a4 and try to undermine the b5 pawn. Yeah, no major complaints so far, actually. I might want to consider moving my knight from c3, but I like that I'm putting pressure on b5 already. And all right, so knight c. So yeah, c6 is a little bit awkward because it first of all, it just weakens more dark squares. Not that I can exploit them just yet, but I like my pressure here. Now, the only thing is my knight on e2 needs improvement. Or my knight on c3 needs improvement. I'm wondering if I should go knight d3. Decisions. I like this positive pawn tension, so I think I'm going to try and keep that tension and go knight e2. And sort of migrate my knight to a better square. The question is, I'm not so sure what that square is, to be honest with you. Like, my knight on f4 is certainly going to go to d3 at some point, but I'm not sure what this knight on e2 is doing. We might have this case of superfluous knights where the knights are both not doing so much. Also, my bishop on b3 is not so hot either, so I might entertain c3 and bishop c2. And yeah, and actually that's... I'm wondering if I should go for that, the c3 and bishop c2. Tough to say. Yeah, I'm going to go c3 and bishop c2. I think that makes some sense. Just trying to get my bishop to a diagonal where it's actually doing something. I think black is actually more or less okay here. Somehow I don't have the pressure that I want to have, but maybe that'll change. Queen d7, trying to connect the rooks is very sensible. Um, I'm going to go knight d3. The idea is to sort of eye the c5 square, so I'm thinking about playing b4. I'm thinking about playing b4. My pieces are a little bit clumsy, but I'm thinking if I'm able to get in b4 at the right moment, that might be something that's good. Maybe. Hopefully. Black is actually totally fine here. Black has the two bishops. The double pawns aren't actually an issue right now. Yeah, my play has been not really inspiring. So Black is doing well here because the double pawns aren't really a weakness, and already I can see Black playing Queen C7 as an option, just attacking H2. A5 is an option. Black has several options, so I'm gonna have to maybe make use of my time advantage because my position on the board is not really hot right now, and I think that'll get me through. Dominique, he is a master level player. He must not play on chess.com so much, but yeah, and Queen C7, it was not that difficult to see that being a move because yeah, it's just a good move. And I'm blocking that with knight G3, but now H5 might come. Now H5 might come actually, and that's a move that wouldn't be nice. All right, Bishop B6, I'm happy to see because that doesn't change the situation for me on the king side. I'm going to play B4. The idea is maybe to put a knight on C5. I like a knight on C5. Looks like I can maybe get some pressure here. I think H5 maybe should have been played, and maybe it was a missed opportunity not playing H5. Because now I have this idea of playing knight C5, and that's pretty good. The question is how good. I think it's pretty good. I'm going to go knight C5. I think if I'm able to sort of get rid of this dark squared bishop, and also now the F5 pawn is very, very weak because of G5. You can never protect it with G6 now. So I'm getting some good pressure here, and okay, it's a game that I'm comfortable playing. Definitely comfortable playing. So Bishop C8, a little bit passive. Okay, now my knight stays there, and yeah, there must be something here to put pressure on F5. I'm going to go Bishop D3. It's a bit of a patient move, but the point is to entertain playing a move like Queen C2 or something like this. It is patient, but I'm also putting pressure on the B5 pawn and directly threatening to win it with A takes B5. Okay, takes. I expect G takes F4 here. That's somewhat logical. I'm wondering if Dominique missed Queen H5 though, because now I'm threatening checkmate, and I'm also covering the E2 pawn. Should that be a problem? All right, so Rook F7. I really like my position here. I think White's position is Black's position is a little bit dicey, but it's a question of what to do next. I'm gonna go Knight E2. It's not a move that's necessarily beautiful to make, but it's a move. And now Bishop G4 is actually a threat. I missed this. So I'm going to go F3 to cut that out. It also shuts off the bishop on D6. You probably should have considered playing F3 and then Rook G7 just to keep the diagonal open, because I don't see much of an attack here. Okay, Knight G6, sort of flailing, a little bit desperate. I can win a pawn right here by taking on B5, so I'm going to do that. The point is that the A8 rook is hanging, so he can't take back on B5. And I think this game is in the bag. I'm just going to go back to D3, perch on, control the F5 square, and yeah, this looks good. All right, and I won, but not clean at the end. So, but it was a decent game, decent position. All right, we're gonna go for Sicilian now. Dominique loves to play sharp. I'm gonna go calm and see if he's able to play patiently here. I don't know why I have a phone ringing in the background, but I suppose I'm just going to ignore it and hope that this ring goes away. In the meantime, very aggressive setup with early f4. I'm not gonna think much of it. I'm just gonna continue my own development, and I always like the bishop against the queen on this diagonal. So knight d7, g4. Should I answer it? You know what? I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna go get this phone. My clock's gonna be running, but I'm gonna go get this phone. All right, back in the booth. Man, that was annoying. All right, so g4, definitely putting some pressure on my position. I'm just gonna ignore him and go rook c8. I mean, he has to castle queenside, right? Is he castling kingside? Is he castling kingside? I mean, that's the real question here. Because if he's castling kingside, I think that I haven't created any targets yet. So yeah, I'm just gonna continue to ignore. I'm gonna go knight c5 now, and just sort of pretend like it's okay to not develop my kingside here. A little bit of a risky choice, or a very risky choice, but I don't see any immediate sort of breaks, so I figure that this might be okay. Yeah, now I'm going to play b4. I think is a very important move because now the knight I think has to go to e2. It can't go to to a4 now that my knight is there, and this actually enables me to play knight f6 with tempo, attacking the e4 pawn. So yeah, knight g3 is a move, but it's not. I think I'm in decent shape here. I don't see any. I don't see anything to worry about. What to do? I love bishop, so I want to play knight takes d3, but something tells me that's not correct. So I'm just going to go bishop e7. I know Dominique's probably trying to play knight f5, make knight f5 work, but I don't think it does. I really don't think it does, because I can just take on f5, and then he can put another knight there, and I think I can go bishop f8 and just retreat. Or rook g8, for that matter. But I know he's looking at knight f5. He really likes to sacrifice, so I know that's what he's thinking about. All right, that's actually surprising. Very surprising. I'm going to take on d3 now, because I think now's the best time to do that. Probably the last decent time. And then if rook takes or knight takes, I'm just going to go knight c5. And I think my knight is pretty decently placed on c5. Who knows? I might try to get in b3, actually. And I have the bishop pair. It's not like the biggest deal here because there are other things going on, but I don't know. I still care about it. f5. He's going in, being super aggressive. It's dangerous, definitely. I'm going to go e5 and pretend like there's nothing decisive, but that might be the wrong choice. I'm not sure. And I want to take on d4 here. Can I take on d4? I'm going to do it. I don't see why I can't take. I just want to win a piece, you know? I just want to play E takes. I just want to play D takes E3 and survive the attack. And who knows? I might not survive. But I don't see checkmate. So as long as I don't see checkmate, I'm going to try to survive. All right, so knight f5. I saw this, and I wasn't altogether worried about it because, oh, wow, there's knight d6. I missed that one. I missed that threat, actually. I know there's something tactically here because the king is super weak. I'm gonna go knight e6. It's really conservative and probably not the right move, but I was a little bit worried about knight takes d6 and I'm lacking time. But I feel like there was some tactical shot there instead of knight e6. Knight e6 is definitely a more conservative option, but sometimes conservative is okay. My king has the d7 square as an escape square if need be, and I still have some threats here. I mean, I have queen c2 check as a threat, coupled with rook g2. All right, rook c1. All right, that's a decent move. I'm gonna go queen b6, which has the merit of protecting the e3 pawn, the d6 pawn, and trying to trade rooks. And I don't see any mate yet. Okay. Everything's protected still. No worries yet. The operative word being yet. Okay. I don't see anything, and if knight h6... This is dangerous. This is definitely dangerous. Alright, he's trying to flag me, so I'm just going to try and play a little bit quicker so he doesn't flag me, because that's what he's trying to do. He's just trying to get me to think and then flag me. I know this guy's MO, unfortunately, too well. I don't see mate yet, but it's getting dicey. It is definitely getting dicey. Ooh, that's strong. I missed that one. Ah, that really hurts. Alright, this is a last-ditch effort to save the game. I missed queen b8. That's a tough one to swallow. Queen e5 check should win. Good game. Good game, Dominique. Good game. He got me. He got me in a mating net. Yeah, that was the time there. I think I definitely was surviving the attack, but I got to be better there. I definitely got to be better there. All right, so I'm going to play a little bit faster and talk a little bit less because I don't like losing. As much as I like commentating, I really don't like losing. So, all right, so this is a pretty innocuous opening. There's nothing really going on here. And, yeah, essentially I'm just trying to get a position where I can sort of have the opportunity to outplay him. So that's the general goal. And luckily for me, I've just won a pawn on e5, which is good. Pawns are good. And that's a very important central pawn too, because there's central pawns are definitely usually worth more than other pawns, and so to get this very critical central pawn, it's very difficult for black to really do anything, even though he's only down a pawn. So it's tough. This position is already a little bit tough. C4 is an option here, but I can go e5. And yeah, the bishop on b7. I mean, if you can imagine, if black still had another pawn in the middle of the board right now, and the position was equal, maybe the bishop would come to life someday, breaking on this diagonal. But it's hard to imagine that actually happening here, because it's just so. I mean, the diagonal's just so open, so it's hard to. I mean, it's so close. It's hard to imagine the bishop actually having much influence at any point. So knight h5. Interesting, trying to go to f4. I'm going to go knight h2. It's a little bit of a weird move, but it gets my queen attacking the knight, and I can go queen f3 next. So that's the point, is to put my queen on f3. And knight e6 is a move here, which is actually pretty good. So I would expect that, aiming to put the knight on d4. And that would be nice. That would be nice. All right, so Dominique is always uber aggressive. He doesn't know any other sort of way to play, so expect aggression even when it's not entirely warranted. That's the way to play against Dominique, or that's what to expect against Dominique. And I like to trade queens, so he's probably gonna go queen f6 here to avoid the trade of queens. But I actually don't mind trading queens pretty much at almost any juncture, just because I feel confident in my ability to convert. And yet, queen h6 is not a move you want to make. It's just tough. It's just not. It's a little bit awkward. So now I'm going to try to play queen g5 and attack the queen and the knight that way. And so he has some problems to solve here, just because trading queens here is going to be pretty difficult to avoid without sort of ruining or compromising the position. So yeah, rook e6. Okay, rook e6 actually threatens something. Rook e6 actually threatens something. Wow, that's a nice tactic. Rook g6, knight, if I want to go queen g5, but oh, I can go queen h4 and do the same thing. Yeah, so I'm attacking the queen and trying to trade and keeping pressure on the knight. But I wanted to go queen g5, but that would have lost on the spot to knight takes h3 check and then rook g6. So he's keeping tactical threats alive, which is really annoying and frustrating because I just want to get to the technical phase. It's much easier to play and talk in the technical phase as well. But again, I still am up a pawn. I have a central pawn majority, so if I'm able to sort of get out of this alive, good things will happen, for sure. Good things will happen. All right, so rook g6. And that's a nasty threat. But I'm just going to go g3. I think this works, actually. The point is that if knight takes h3 check, I just have king g2. And I'm not sure how... Oh, that's how. Wow, I'm missing everything today. That's not good. Alright, so I can still go king f1, but black has actually just recovered the pawn. So that was actually not what I was trying to do. So this is tough. I managed to trade queens, but I lost my pawn, which is not the objective. Not the objective at all. I'm going to go knight d5 here. I think that's a decent move. Sort of just putting my knight on a central square. I'm sort of comfortable if he takes my knight with the bishop because it gives me control of the e file and allows me to infiltrate. f5 is a nice try, but he missed knight e7 check, which unfortunately just picks off the f5 pawn. So that was a bit of a mistake, or a big mistake, not a little mistake at all. And yeah, I like all is okay again. Knight e5 check here. King has to go back somewhere, but there aren't many great. Only good choices g8, and yeah, I'm always right again because my knights are really doing work in the middle of the board. I'm gonna go f4. I think it looks really cool to just support those knights with the pawns, and I don't see any really easy way to eradicate them. So it's a little bit brazen, but I like the knights together with the pawns, just sort of really nice and just not dominant. Okay. Don't really know what he's trying to do here, but not really my problem. My knights are doing work. I'm gonna go c3, which just covers the d4 square. You just before you go forward, I always say just try to restrict black from like doing anything crazy and confusing you. And so I'm just trying to sort of stifle black's play a little bit before I do anything else. The one problem I do have is my knights are very clumsy on g4 and h6. They can't really do anything. So I'm going to have to sort of create some sort of distraction so that my knights get active again. c4 is an interesting touch to undermine my pieces. Very interesting move that I missed, of course. But I don't think it's the end of the world because I have rook takes a6. And that does put some pressure on the e6 knight. So I still think I'm retaining an advantage here. Although I must confess, a lot of these positions have just been dicey by way of conversion. But that's natural because he's playing for tricks and I'm talking. It's just tough to do. But I still have an advantage here. I'm 2 pawns up. I'm attacking a third pawn. And yeah, I should be okay. I want to go b4 here. Yeah, I'm going to go b4. And then I want to go knight e5 later, but I like b4 first. What is going on? Whew. All right. My conversion skills are just rough, but I'm glad to have won that one. I need to get a big enough advantage where conversion doesn't matter. That's what I have to do. All right, I'm going to go g6 this time. Go for a modern. Modern is always a weird opening. You're sort of delaying the development of the g8 knight to because it holds the h6 square in place. So you notice if I played knight f6 here, you can play bishop h6. So that's why the knight stays on g8 for a little bit while you sort of get your queenside counterplay going. So my idea is to go like bishop b7, knight d7, b4, etc., etc. At the right moment. And here I don't think I'm supposed to allow h5. So I'm going to go h5 myself. The one thing about this is now white will go g5, and it's hard for me to develop my knight. And because it's hard for me to develop my knight, I think I'm going to play e6, just so that my knight has the e7 square before any more funny business happens. So now knight e7, and yeah, it's a weird position. That's what we can say. It's very weird. And now knight b6 just eyes the c4 square, so b3 I think has to be played, yeah. And then I can go b4, and now the knight has to go back to d1, but it's not necessarily the end of the world. It's just retreating back for a second. And now this is my time to usually, I think, attack the center, because it's a little bit loose. So yeah, I'm going to go d5 now, just trying to break open the center now that the knight has just vacated it just for a moment. I'm hoping to get some counterplay going in this scenario before white is sort of coordinated again, because if white coordinates, then I have some problems. So Dominique is he's always going to be trying to attack me, and I just want to try to again break down his position a little bit and then get something going. All right, so knight f2 I expected, so sort of defending that area, that pawn. But I have some options here. I definitely have some options. The question is which one is the best. I think the pawn tension is good for me because if he releases it, I can go. I think I can go for something else, like maybe getting like knight f5. So, but the question is, do I take or not? Now I'm gonna just go a5, just protect my pawn. It's a good thing if you don't know what to do. Just protect stuff. Make sure everything's protected and okay. And the problem is his pawn structure, although he's controlling the center, he just doesn't have a fluid pawn structure anymore because this pawn tension, I think, is positive pawn tension for me and negative pawn tension for him. So I think I'm just going to try to build around that issue that he has now. So I think I'm going to castle. My knight on b6 is very misplaced. That's the one thing that's not so hot about my position. The knight would love to go somewhere else. Maybe d6. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll relocate my knight from c8 to d6 or something like that. Put extra pressure on... Yeah, I'm going to go knight c8. It's a bit of a weird move, but if I can put my knight on d6 and attack the e4 pawn more, that's good. And if he goes e5, okay. c4 I definitely did not expect, but it might be a good move. No, I'm not buying it. I'm just going to go knight d6. And if he goes c5, I can go knight b5. And if he goes e5, I can go knight f5. But yeah, it's a little bit tricky because if he doesn't find the right way forward here, his pawns are going to look really stupid. So yeah, knight b5. I like my knight here, actually. It stops his a pawn from moving. If the knight on e2 ever moves, I might go to c3. And it's pretty solid, actually. Now it's going to be high time I castle. That's the one thing I have to sort of not forget about on the agenda. But my position isn't bad. Although e5 here might be a little bit annoying. Maybe. I'm debating whether castling is the way to go here. Maybe I should sit on this a little bit more. I'm going to castle. I'm going to castle. Although now e5 might be played. That's a concern. Knight f4. Interesting. Knight f4. I don't understand that. I think I can take on e4 and play e5. And just, I think my pieces are really well placed. I don't understand that at all. Or I can play knight c3, take on e4 and play knight c3. Yeah, I'm going to take on e4 and play knight c3. I don't understand that. And that's a very, very important central pawn that's dropping, because yeah, it's just really important. Really important. So I think I'm definitely in the driver's seat now, because it's just tough. I mean, it's tough to deal with that. Tough to deal with that pawn right there. So yeah, that's the sort of thing about having a center, is you have to sort of maintain it. So the burden of maintaining a center can be tough. And you know what? I can take on d1, but I think first stronger is actually to play e5. So I'm going to go for that, because I think breaking up this center now is going to be a really, really powerful thing. So I can take on d1 next if I want. I probably will, but really breaking up this pawn chain first is really, really effective. And it also gives me the option of trading queens afterward, which you guys know I like. Yeah, and so he doesn't take it, but I can take on d1, and then take on d4, and then I'm going to actually play knight c6 if afforded the opportunity. Yep, knight c6 makes a lot of sense. I sort of missed e5 actually, but it doesn't really matter, I think, because I have such an overwhelming position in terms of king safety as well. So I'm not actually so bothered by this. Like I'm actually totally comfortable sacrificing the exchange, because my knight on f5 is so powerful and all of his pawns are so weak. So this doesn't actually concern me at all. Like I mean, if he goes bishop takes e8, queen takes a8, his king is really, really naked, and h4 is hanging, and the e3 pawn is weak. So yeah, just an exchange I'm very comfortable giving up. Knight e4 is a last-ditch try, but unfortunately knight takes e3 hangs the d1 rook, so queen takes e3 is impossible, and that should be it. That should be it. All right, so that was tough. So yeah, I'm gonna tell him GG. Are we switching? GG. I told him good game, and I think I'm gonna get someone new in the rotation. Someone new in the rotation. Yeah. So he's saying you can't see because my face is actually covering the text screen. Yeah. And he's saying next opponent, good games. I said I bet. He said tough ones. Yeah. And I'm gonna say yeah. You had me under pressure. Under pressure. Especially late in games. So yeah, he was. I mean, I do have a bit of a rating advantage. That's true, but Blitz, anything can happen. I think more importantly, we do this for the entertainment and the sort of the educational value, really. So I hope you guys were able to take away something from those games, at least from the standpoint of battle of stylistically and that sort of thing. Um, but yeah, I definitely was slipping late in games, but I think the opening phases I was getting through all right, and yeah, we're about to play another guy. So this is actually Peter Giannatos about to play. I can see his username here is Brain Plunger. What a username! I wonder why that's the case. His username might have something to do. We've had conversations about chess in the past, many, many times, about the toll it takes on the brain during games, and I'm wondering if maybe that's emblematic of his thoughts about that, because we have had conversations about just chess's effects. So where is he? All right, so we gotta wait for Brain Plunger to send an invite. Oh, and here he did accept, so I'm gonna accept. And here we are. Peter is a very, very strong FM. He's gotten better at chess over the years. Having a chess center definitely does help. And the other thing I know about Peter is he loves his London system, like absolutely loves it. And so he's going to play the London system, really. He plays it all the time. So I'm curious to see what that's going to bring, because it's been a minute since I've faced it. So I don't know what I'm doing. I'm playing Bishop G4 and then Bishop D7 back. Like, there's logic to that. There really isn't any logic to that. So, but hopefully I can bring some logic to bear in the rest of the game. White's better. White has good development here. White is definitely better here. And White has space, which is really nice. My challenge is going to be how to sort of mitigate against that. I'm going to go Queen E8. It's has a not so subtle idea of playing E5. Yeah, we're going to just go for it, because I'm not in the business of doing things that are subtle right now. Normally, we play these games all the time where we're playing like back and forth positional battles, that are like very slow and drawn out. But that's, I want to try something new. Sometimes you have to try something new. So in this structure, essentially, it's a London system. White puts the bishop on f4 and then tucks it back on h2, and is sort of inviting black to overextend, because once black overextends, usually there's weaknesses that show up behind. So you can see with a3, it's like, please play e4, open up the diagonal for my bishop, yada yada. And typically, if you do open the diagonal for the bishop, things don't always go so smoothly. So it's a really, really tricky to sort of figure out what you're going to do here. It's always been a tricky opening to play against, really. So I have to decide, do I want to play e4 or not? And I really don't, if I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't want to play it. And he's going to go b4, which is annoying. He's going to go b4, and that's going to be really annoying. And knight d5 is also really annoying. I'm going to take on d4 and go bishop f5, because that looks like the more solid choice to me. But it's really a product of this pawn tension. This pawn tension was negative pawn tension for me and positive pawn tension for white, and that was really the difference. Now, the reason I played bishop f5 is to actually go queen d7. That was my idea, because really, really important for me to, hold things together. So That was my idea, to go queen d7. But g4 might actually do some things. It might trap my bishop. I'm not so sure. All right, so d5. That's a good move that I missed. Another one I missed. Yep, and I'm going to go knight e7. And he's going to go knight d4 and secure my bishop. Yep, and yeah, this is getting a little dicey. I'm going to go rook e8. But g4 is a move here. g4 is certainly a move here. And it does, and it looks like it might trap my... Okay, so no, bishop f3 does not want my bishop. g4 looked like it trapped my bishop, but he says, no, I have better than that. And I'm wondering why he didn't go for it. Hmm. Yeah, I don't have time to ponder, so I'm going to just go h5. But now he's probably going to go bishop f4, eyeing the new weakness I created on g5 and h6. Oh, that's surprising. He doesn't go for that. I would have gone bishop f4 in a heartbeat. But maybe I'm getting some last gasps of hope. And yeah, this is not a nice position at all. But I'm not down material, so there's some hope here. Peter's a strong fellow, especially you don't want to get him to be squeezing you. It's just very uncomfortable. And so here he has already many ideas. He has c6 in some positions, although this pawn tension might be positive pawn tension for him, because I'm not so sure. I'm not entirely sure whether I could take on d5. But my position looks very, very dicey here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take on c5 and then take on d5, because I think that rook a2 maybe blundered back rank mate ideas on e1. So I'm wondering if this works now. So yeah, now knight takes f3 is a sort of an annoying threat. So I'm wondering if he has anything to do against that. Knight takes f3 is a threat. I've got a threat, and I've got 50 seconds, so I gotta shut up and move. Just make moves. Make moves on instinct. Just survive. Survive is the name of the game. And amazingly, almost everything is protected here. So I might be okay. I might be okay. I'm going to pre-move just in case. Pre-move just in case. Honestly, I'm expecting him to move the knight, not capture on d5. Help me trade. That's what I want. I want him to trade. I want him to help me trade. And he got me. Tough game. I had him. Made some mistakes. Had him right at the end. Tough one. All right. Let's see. Let's see what he got. Let's see what he has in store. All right. So e4, e6. All right. He always wants to do this French stuff. Blah blah blah. I'm gonna go knight c3 because I'm tough like that. And then I'm going to take on d5 because I'm not tough like that. Real technical, that's me. Technical. So bishop d3, and yeah, this interesting position is exchange variation of the exchange line of the French. It's a very, very interesting structure because with basically it's not entirely clear that white has really done much here to lay claim to the idea that he's better. But the point is that it's a symmetrical position, and white has a tempo up, and that normally means something. So based on those merits, that's why this normally is played. I'm going to play f3. Challenge this bishop to do something, and yeah, I don't see why I can't go g4, and then h4, and really just try to put a lot of pressure on this bishop on g6, because yeah, now he's helping me develop, which I like, and castling kingside here isn't so desirable anymore because essentially the king is a little bit loose. So yeah, queen a6 is an idea, trying to trade queens, but after the simple queen e3, now black can't castle, and his bishop on e7 is really, really bad. So I'm already threatening bishop d6, and I just have an immense lead in development. So it's I already think this position is winning for white, and evidently he agrees with me because he's going king f8, which is just not defensible. I'm going to go knight g3, put my knight on f5, and this position just should end pretty quickly, if I'm totally honest. Yeah, now after bishop b4, yeah, this just shouldn't last long. I must have some shot here. Actually, a3 looks good enough. Just sort of kicking the bishop, challenging the bishop. Sure, we'll get in rook d8, but yeah, I can just go queen d2, and I just don't see a way. I mean, he could sack a piece for 2 pawns, but that's not going to be enough. And I have nasty threats if the bishop moves off that diagonal. If the bishop goes to a5, I have bishop d6 check. So okay, knight b4. That's an annoying move. That is a move I missed. I'm going to go rook e1. Just trying to trade. And I'm missing things. This has been a little bit annoying to me that I'm missing things. No queen e2. Because he can't take on my... But I'm a little bit annoyed. I am missing things. I thought that everything was okay and taken care of, and it's not the case. It's not the case at all. So I got to be better. He's just tactically holding on by a string, but it's that's all you need to hold on by. I mean, that's it. Now bishop 8 takes a3 is a real idea. My point is to go rook e1. Or no, excuse me. After bishop takes a3, my point is actually just to take, because he has a one check, but then I was thinking I can go king d1, and if he goes queen a1 check, I can go bishop c1, and I'm still threatening queen e7 check. Knight takes a3 I don't think should work, though, because I have knight a2. Very important move, which attacks both the bishop and the knight on a3. So I think I have managed to win the game, but I'm just a little bit miffed at my conversion. My conversion has not been as good as it normally is, and that's a little bit concerning. But okay, a piece is a piece, and I won that one. All right, so I need to get into sort of aggressive chess, so I'm calculating better. I think that's the general conclusion. Get into some aggressive looking positions and then try to make things happen. So bishop b5 check, very interesting line. One that's played quite a bit, but not actually taking on c6. I don't really see that very often. I do not see that often at all. I know I can go e5 here, but I'm not sure that's the way to go. I'm going to go e5. I think that makes some sense. The point that is, if c3, I was thinking about going bishop a6. It just looks interesting to me. I don't know if it's correct. That's the thing about a lot of my ideas. I don't know if they're correct. But the point is that if rook e1, I was going to go bishop d3. Yeah, I thought this was interesting. He can go bishop e3 now, and then I can go c4. Or at least that's my idea. This is a bad idea. I'm down a pawn for nothing. This was one of the bad ideas. I have those once in a while. Not the end of the world. I mean, I'm just a pawn down, but it was just not correct, this idea. So now I have to start playing the middle and justify it. So that's what I'm going to try and do. Here I'm threatening d takes e4, maybe bishop c5. So I have a little bit of counterplay connected to some of these moves, but not enough to justify the setup. But actually, bishop c5 now, and actually, if I think I have this idea of taking on e4 twice, because if I take on e4 and then he still has back rank problems, so I think I might be onto a little bit of something. But he is bishop h6 here, very strong move. Man, that's annoying. I thought I was getting a pawn. So annoying. Ugh. Well, I have to go knight e8. I gotta cover that. And then he's gonna go d takes e4, and he's gonna be fine. I don't know what to do here. That's why I'm thinking. I feel like there might be a little bit something, but there's just nothing I see that really poses any real problem. So that's a little bit annoying. You know, I'm gonna go f5 and see what to make of that. Point is that you go queen c4 check, I have king h8. So, and he still has this back rank issue. So I'm trying to sort of imagine that maybe there's some threat connected with f4 or f takes e4, but it's probably not correct. And yeah, it's probably not correct. That's just the general conclusion. Queen. I mean, I'm trying to get some pressure on f2, essentially. I'm also trying to get some pressure on f4. Yeah, knight d2 I expected. And I was wondering if I can go f4 here. That's what I was wondering. Yeah, queen c4 check, king h8. Ah, I missed that. I missed that he's threatening mate. That's tough. That's tough. Because he's actually threatening. Oh, that's tough. Man, that's so annoying. He's threatening everything. He's hitting e5. He's hitting f8. I'll go rook f6. But yeah, I missed that detail. Very important detail. he had queen takes f8 mate. That was the problem. That's what prevented me from sort of doing this whole sequence. So yeah, it's really inhibited me from doing what I wanted to do. Yeah, it happens. I think another thing you sort of have to keep in mind is that, yeah, he can swap. That was what I was, so bishop g5. Now he's just gonna swap to an ending that's favorable for him, which is well within his right to do. It's what you should do if you're out material. Queen e6 is a decent try. I'm trying to keep the exchange, but even here, this is desperation. He can trade queens, and he's just structurally so much better here that I don't see him losing at all. Yeah, so he can just go knight c4, and my structure is so bad. It's really awful. He can play f3 here if he likes. He's really spoiled for choice, actually. He's gonna take because that also works. And I'm just gonna try to desperately bring my king over to some square. Yeah, and I lost. All right, so good game by Brain Plunger, pressing me, putting me under pressure. I definitely my idea in the opening wasn't so great, so I have to sort of revise that idea. But okay. All right, so e4, knight f6, and Alekhine. All right, I'm gonna go knight c3, get out of the funny business. And the best move here, I believe, is e5. But for Alekhine players, they just don't want to play this way. So yeah, it's always a bit of a funny thing. This, on the other hand, is not altogether correct, but it is an interesting way to play, in my opinion. It's not correct, but it's interesting for a blitz game because White's king is temporarily Black's king is temporarily weak. So to try and sort of hone in on that, on the weakness of this e8 h5 diagonal, it just leads to interesting blitz chess and sort of creates practical problems to solve because Black is up a pawn, but at what cost, essentially? And okay, g6 I didn't expect because I thought knight g5 was annoying, but evidently he doesn't think so because he's sort of just letting me do it. Alright, so knight f6, okay. That's a free pawn. I mean, a free pawn is a free pawn, right? So I'm going to go for that. And e5, okay, this is the way. Is this the way to play? Interesting. Something tells me I should have something here because the material's equal and he has the center, but it's a bit of a shaky center. So I'm going to start with queen e2, just sort of trying to attack the e5 pawn again. It's attacked because of this pin. So e4, I expected that. And I was going to go bishop f4. And the point is just to castle queenside here. And I'm threatening something takes e4 because of the pin on the d file. And I'm wondering if this is good. I don't know. Queen a5, interesting. Maybe good. And I'm just gonna go f3, just to try to undermine. I'm trying to undermine his pawn chain, and I'm sort of ignoring the fact that there might be pressure on my pawns. Just completely ignoring that. Because I think pressure is the name of the game here. So I'm going to take on e4. And things are hanging for sure. Things are definitely hanging. He has knight takes e4 as an option. He has bishop g4 as an option. d4 is also an option. Okay. That's an option I didn't consider at all. But what else is new? I'm going to go queen c4 check. That looks interesting to me. And if king f8, I might have knight f7. Not right away, but in some positions. e6. Surprising. That's surprising. Because now I'm just going to move the knight. And everything's covered for now. Knight d5 also might have been a move, actually. But I think I've been so aggressive this opening, and I'm not normally this aggressive, so it's like, how aggressive can one be? Okay, so that's takes. Got the bishop pair. All right, what to do now? My bishop on b5 is hanging for starters, so I'll take that. I didn't even realize it was hanging. That's the level at which I'm playing right now. I did not even realize that that was hanging. I'm going to go knight takes d4, because that's a pawn, I think. I hope. I'm not seeing anything. My chess blindness is strong, but I feel like I'm up a lot of pawns. That's my impression, at least. All right, queen. My queen is attacked, so I gotta move that. I see that. I'm gonna go knight takes c6, because that takes another pawn and attacks the knight. I mean, and it attacks the queen on a5. And if queen takes a5, maybe I have queen d6. Really weird position, honestly. Queen b5, I think he's going to play. Because it threatens some knight takes c4 and it hits b2. Really tough to play this one. I'm going to play the most provocative move, b3, sort of asking for queen takes e4 so I can play rook e1. But it's definitely asking for it, no doubt about it. My king is just so naked. Like, I know I feel like I'm all right, but my king's naked, my clock is ticking, and yeah, again, he has an advantage on the clock at a time where it's really uncomfortable. I saw queen a6. I was planning to go knight b4. Ow! He's now threatening knight c3 check and queen b2 mate, all these things. And all my pieces are hanging, unfortunately, so I have to resign. And so he's doing really well. He's playing well. He's putting pressure on me. He's doing things. So good. He's playing. He's putting a lot of pressure on me. He's a good player, and I gotta play better. All right, so I gotta play really. I think the plan is to play really sharp, get him uncomfortable, and then see what happens. So maybe this will do the trick. All right, so that's a little bit passive. He's playing e3 against c5. And so I'm just going to fianchetto because I can always go back to Catalan if he decides to take on c5. The one thing is he does play the black side of the Catalan, so he might be comfortable with this. Okay, c4 here. My impression was always that I could play d5. And it's like sort of like a reverse Grunfeld now, actually. Which pawn to take? I'm going to take on d4 because I think d takes c5 for white was going to be an option. And then if knight takes d4, okay, knight takes d4 I was expecting. This I don't like because I have a few ideas, but one of them is just to play against the isolated pawn and play d takes c4. So, and I don't mind playing against an isolated pawn. So now I'm going to go d takes c4 and just knight c6, and not that much to complain about actually, because I have easy development. My bishop can come out the chain really quickly, and I don't have many bad pieces. So, d5 I missed though, because now if I go to put my knight on a5, it actually might get trapped. So I have to take a little bit of care now. Yeah, I'm gonna go bishop g4 because I think if he goes b4, I might have bishop takes f3 and then like knight h5 if he goes g takes f3. Because if he goes bishop takes f3 and then bishop takes f3, then I have knight c4 again. So I think I should be okay. And again, I have a very reasonable position out of the opening. It's a question of what I do next. Bishop g5, I go rook c8, and now my knight is definitely secure on a5 because it has the c4 square. And I think black is just doing absolutely fine here. I think black actually is really doing fine. Just has a really healthy pawn structure, relatively active pieces. Okay, queen a4. Okay. And it does threaten something. It threatens bishop takes f6. So I gotta look out for that. So I'm gonna actually... Can I take? I don't know. I'm gonna go bishop d7. Just challenge that queen. And it may very well go to h4, which I missed. Ugh. I'm gonna go queen b6. I gotta at least attack something with this move, with these moves I'm making. And queen b6 does attack a b2 pawn. It does attack the b2 pawn. The point is, if he goes b4, I can go rook takes c3, and the pawn is sorry, excuse, not the pawn. The knight on c3 is hanging. So I'm experiencing a little bit of problems with that. So. And in the meantime, White might entertain playing, getting his rooks in the game. Might go like rook e1 or rook d1, or maybe take care of the b2 pawn first, sure. But generally speaking, the rooks now need to do something. So particularly the a1 rook, because whenever you have a rook that's opposing, where a fianchet bishop is on the diagonal, you sort of just want to get that rook off the diagonal as soon as you can, because bad things happen when it stays there. So like, you can imagine one day, or I can imagine one day, this knight f6 being released, and then all of a sudden the bishop having this really nice long diagonal to work with. So it's just something you have to sort of be cognizant of when you're playing. And he's thinking, so that means he's probably thinking about something meaningful, so I should be doing the same. But I'm really just trying to sort of hold on to some of the stuff I have, because the b2 pawn is a little bit loose, and the knight on a5, is a little bit loose as well. And I don't have as many options as White does, to be honest, because I need to take care of always making sure that my knight on a5 doesn't just get lost all of a sudden. So I have to take a little bit of care. Alright, knight e4. I did not see that coming down the pike at all. I don't really like that move, because I can just play queen takes b2, and I'm attacking the e2 bishop. So I don't really like that move at all. And if he plays like knight takes f6, I can even play e takes f6 and attack the g5 bishop too. So I think that was a questionable decision. And yet bishop d3 sort of admitting that mistake. I'm going to go knight takes d5. That's another pawn. And I don't see any real attack on my king, so I'm going to just keep taking pawns, being a greedy gut, because bishop a1 is not possible. So now I'm up 3 pawns, and so I have to just not get mated, and I should be okay. Amazingly, most of my pieces are actually protected here, so that's a good sign. Trying to trade those bishops is really sensible. I'm going to try to trade some pieces myself. Something went wrong again. In the conversion, I was very sloppy again, and it shows, because now I don't have any real... I'm just worse. I'm just down in exchange for nothing, and yeah, bad things are happening. And knights can take on e7 too. Very, very weird. Very weird conversion. Oh, and now I'm blundering the queen too. Oh, man. Yeah, this has been bad. This has been real bad because I'm just blundering left and right. Let me try a game where I don't talk. Let's see where that goes. I'm just going to play. I'm just going to focus and play. Some players are pretty strong and you can't do so much talking. Yeah, this is another weird uh, exchange French position which I've managed to blunder a pawn in. I'm gonna have to go G takes F3 here because if Queen takes F3, Knight takes D4 was going to be a bit of a pitiful resource, and yeah, my structure is ruined, and it doesn't mean so much here that I have the two bishops if my structure is so ruined. So yeah, I have some problems to solve. And okay, F takes G6 or H takes G6 are both really good moves because there's a lot of pressure on my king now. Although I think a few moves ago I was actually worse than I am precisely at this moment. A few moves ago I was definitely worse. Here it's just not that bad. It's doable, survivable. Although two pawns are attacked and I have to make a tough decision. I'm going to go bishop takes c6 and then just king g2 and try to hold my pawn that way. But it's a little bit tough because black can again, now that my pawn structure is shattered on the king side, and that's way more important than my pawn structure being shattered on the queen side, black can interchain playing h5 or h4 and stuff like that, and it's just tough. It's tough to sort of stay in the game meaningfully, and when you have all this pressure on your king. So rook f7, I think the idea is rook f8, but I don't love that idea. I think that's a little bit slow because I can go rook e3 and I don't know. I think black should, if black really wants to try to win, black should play h5 or g5, h5 and g5, just to try to put pressure on my bishop. Because black really wants the bishops to be traded. If my bishop takes the one on d6, then my king is really naked. My bishop is serving as a pawn right now, fat pawn protecting my king, and so that's really what I think he should be aiming for. Right, c5 sort of does that. It's trying to put pressure on my pawns a little bit more. And yeah, c4 is a good move because now he's fixing my pawn on a excuse me a dark square, and the bishops are dark squares, so that's not nice. Bishop f4 also makes sense, but I'm going to go rook e6. Again, he really wants me to trade the bishops because that would just be an awesome exchange for him. But now I think I'm more or less okay because at least I have an e-file to get counterplay on, and I can entertain going rook e8 or rook e7, and I think he's sort of botched this just a little bit. I'm not saying he's like majorly worse or anything, but if you looked at the position after g takes f3 about 10 moves ago, there's no reason I should be in this position. Okay, h5. Now he's threatening h4, so I think I'm obliged to play h4 myself. And then, yeah, queen f5. I'm going to go rook e8. I think it's important that I trade a little bit more. That's where my chance lies, in trading. I don't like g5 for some reason. I think there's something I can do here if I think for a bit. Didn't like that move. Because now my queen is, if my queen, I'm getting in just a little bit. I'm getting a little bit of a rub. Because if the queen moves off the f5, I actually just play queen takes f7. So I think g5 didn't make a whole lot of sense. And yeah, I mean, I've said this before, like I just get out of it and then I don't. But I really do feel like I just got out of it this time. Yeah, I think I have survived this. I think I have. Black is still pressing a little bit, but I think I should be able to hold this. Because I mean the position is transformed, and now the rook on f7 is a little bit more passive than my rook on e8. So I think I can get enough counterplay to at least disturb Black's intentions. Oh, and I flagged again. Yeah, this guy's just too tenacious for me. This guy's just way too tenacious for me while commentating. So he's giving me a lol and haha GG. He's saying I'm ashamed, but no, I'm gonna say no, man, you won fair and square. So that'll be it for today. But thanks for watching.